What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
We're here to answer the question, should you watch Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime? We get Nerdy Nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
Tomorrow War. That is right. It's a movie. We watched it.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because I feel like we reacted to several of the trailers.
We did, yeah.
And we were pretty conflicted, I would say, for them. Like, there were things we liked about it, but we were like, this seems really dumb.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know where we fell. And so after watching this movie,
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it when I saw it in other movies, but you know, in terms of like, if you were going to mash up a bunch of sci-fi movies into a pretty generic sci-fi movie, this one was pretty good.
I really liked it.
That was fun.
I had a great time, and there were things that you said that were like, oh, this is Alien, and I was like, well, I've only seen like one of the movies, so for me, it didn't really feel like a rehashing. So I guess it depends on how much older sci-fi you've seen, whether or not you'll think it's a reimagining.
Yeah. There's a point really early in the movie where you have to accept that what is happening
is dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb. This movie's really dumb.
It doesn't make sense.
It is written by someone who wrote a time travel movie, but started out by saying, I'm not going to care at all about time travel.
And, like, how it works.
Because the time travelist movie doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And
it doesn't actually, like, seem to impact the world very much.
Yeah.
Which is really bizarre.
Yeah.
There's the premise of this movie, we should get into that, is that there's a soccer match going on. It's 2022, it's World Cup, and a bunch of Americans are watching the World Cup, which... you know, let's be honest, white Americans don't typically do. And the... I mean, you know...
But this family really cares about soccer.
This family loves soccer.
Soccer is a big deal. Okay, alright, sure, I'll buy it.
I don't know. People who watch World Cup typically call it football, but whatever. The point is, these soldiers come from 30 years in the future, and they're like, we are losing a war. We need to recruit you to come fight for us in the future.
Yeah.
And the way that they do this is they take people from the past for a week to fight for 1 week in the future, and then if they survive their week in the future, they get sent back to the past.
Yeah. You get 1 week of training.
You get 1 week of training.
And then you get thrust into the future for 1 week. And then if you're still alive, the little armband will bring you home. This
isn't spoilers. This is all like the setup stuff.
Yeah.
So what's really insane about this is that...
It doesn't make sense.
They're trying to avoid paradoxes. And so the soldiers that have come back from the past are all really young because they're not born yet in the moment in time that they are coming forward from.
Yes.
And they are taking people from the past who they know do not survive to be there in the future.
Slight spoiler, but it does happen right at the beginning of the movie for the setup.
No, it's not a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler at all. It's literally like in the news broadcast. Or no, it's in the moment where our main character, who obviously has to go to the future, they're like, they tell him, they're like, you die in 7 years, therefore you can go to the future. It makes sense. As a sci-fi thing, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I appreciate that they're at least trying to make it a little bit believable.
Here's the problem. Immediately with this, they are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Because the people that they take first are the people who die closest to the past, right?
Right.
So basically, like, if you're there, like, we meet a character who dies, whose character he's told he dies of cancer 6 months after he's sent to the future, right? Mm-hmm. So they take him first, thinking that would have the smallest impact on the future because he dies so close to the past.
Right.
That's actually wrong. By taking him first, you're making the largest impact to the timeline. What you should be doing is you should be going back in time, and you should be taking nobody. You should be coming back in time and telling people that this happens and just setting up for it.
Solution. Yeah, here's
the thing. It's so frustrating, the whole movie.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
But if you're going to take people who, like... no, that doesn't work either. It doesn't work. I'm trying to make this work and it doesn't work.
No, and here's the thing. If you can get past that, this is a really enjoyable movie. I'm not generally a big fan of, like, big, dumb fun in that sense.
Yeah.
And look, this doesn't make sense, but I had a freaking blast watching this movie.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Chris Pratt's pretty solid.
The actors in it, like all of them across the board, I thought were great. Everybody had a personality and a character. For
J.K. Simmons is jacked out of his mind.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons is yoked. You're like, oh.
Yeah, but
Chris Pratt is on screen, and you're like, is Chris Pratt the like less physically fit person on screen right now?
Yeah.
What is happening? J.K. Simmons has this giant beard, but his shoulders are just carved out of marble.
Yeah, and you know, like, it's fun because everybody like feels like a person. Like, nobody really feels like they're just kind of a pawn. Like, everybody feels like they have a purpose in this movie, which I find that like does not always happen, especially with more action type movies. So I want to commend them for doing that. I thought
there's a weird chunk in the middle where a lot of the cast disappears for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's to focus on like one relationship, and I get that, but there's a long stretch in the middle where I'm like, they really hid the main cast of this film for a while.
Yeah, and it was interesting. But yeah, action was great. The aliens look really good. I think really, really good.
Yeah, it's a cool design.
The design is great. The CGI or whatever effects that they use for it, I'm sure part of it at least was CGI.
Most of it.
Sorry, yes.
I would be shocked if they built a practical editing for this movie.
Yeah, maybe not. I feel like we're really moving away from that kind of thing. Anyways, the
maybe
design,
they might have built some heads and some like arms and stuff.
Yeah.
But the majority, I don't know. It's,
the execution of it though, I thought looked great. There was never really a moment where I was like, that effect. Everything looks solid. The time jumping looks solid. The aliens look solid.
The time jumping actually, when they go to the future, the effect of that is really cool.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful, like, if you're high watching this movie, which I do recommend, I do think this movie is better on the marijuana. I think that moment really would light up the right parts of your brain.
Yeah.
This is a stoner's action movie. This is like there are times where characters are having conversations about like how things work that I feel like you would have more fun if you're like, yeah, man, like, wow, that's like deep. It's a little bit aggressive for a stoner, but like if you're like the kind of stoner that likes to watch hard, aggressive action movies like I am, this would be the kind of movie I would do an edible before.
All right, that's fair. I don't know if I would. I feel like it would just freak me out. But I don't like scary movies. This movie wasn't scary.
The monsters are frightening though.
The monsters are frightening, but not in like a gotcha way, you know.
Yvonne Strahovski gets to she's the leader of the army in the future. And she gets she gets a range of scenes in this that's really fun.
Yeah,
she doesn't get like an arc. Her character doesn't get to like. It's interesting.
Well,
her character's arc. I recommend watching the movie. So I don't want to spoil anything.
We will talk about it more thoroughly in our spoiler chat.
But they give Yvonne Strahovski like a lot to do physically, emotionally, and I felt like she really. As the like future counterpart to Chris Pratt's character, gave a lot, which was fun. Chris Pratt was more fun, and he brought a lot of heart and humor to the movie. And then I feel like the emotional connection to the film was really in Yvonne Strahovski's hands, and she handled it really well.
Yeah, I am surprised that this movie did not go to theaters.
I'm not.
Okay.
It's so long.
This
movie
long.
ends.
There's many
20
endings.
times.
Yeah, there's many endings. It's like the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, where you're like, you think it's over, but it's not.
No, do you know what this reminded me more of? Was Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes.
This movie has
more like
this
that.
movie pulls off a full Hobbs and Shaw ending where the movie like fully ends. And then they're like, we're going to a new location to do a new thing. And you're like,
and then it ends. And then something else happens. Yeah. And you're like, oh.
So much so, oh my God, I'm going to bring this up in the spoiler chat. If you've seen Hobbs and Shaw, you've literally seen the plot of this movie in a weird way.
Okay, interesting.
Sure. No, seriously. It's a little bit of a reverse-ado, but it is the same plot. And
Is this our lead into the spoiler chat?
Yeah, come watch the spoiler chat. I really liked it. It's derivative. It's like insanely derivative of a few things. Edge of Tomorrow, it definitely the way the creatures move, the way the combat scenes work is really derivative of Edge of Tomorrow. It has a lot of Independence Day in it. The secretary character, the actor does great, but like the way they use him is really bad. It makes human beings seem like dumb. like it just makes the movie thinks that humanity's bad at being humanity at times, and I didn't love that. I also don't. The one thing we talked about was I didn't love the way the future looked. Yep. It really didn't look like the future. It didn't look 30 years in the future.
Yeah,
it looked kind of present.
Yeah, it was not advanced really in any way except for the one device that allows for the time jump. And that's it. Everything else is very like 2010, 2020-esque.
Yeah, like so much so that like the Navy ships and planes and helicopters and Humvees,
the tanks, the guns,
everything, they all just look very modern, like very now.
Like our modern. Yeah. So that was an interesting choice.
So I don't know. I kind of wish there's a sequence where they're in a lab in the future, and Chris Pratt's character is a scientist. Yeah. And he's like.
He understands that
looking at things and understands what's going on, and I'm like,
completely.
If you were looking at those screens, it would be akin to someone from 1990 looking at the new iMac and being like, what is a computer?
Where is the rest of it?
Like the idea that the future is that in the next 30 years humanity's technology hasn't evolved in any way was a little bit odd to me.
Yeah, it is a little strange.
And that took me out of that sequence a little bit because I was just like, I kind of wish this looked like something.
Yeah. I totally get that, but I would definitely recommend watching this movie. Mm-hmm. It is a bit long, but not not Army of the Dead long.
They're almost the same length.
I know, but Army of the Dead felt like it dragged, and this one didn't. This one actually did a good job of keeping me interested.
There's like 5 minutes where it drags.
Sure.
Between two moments. Mm-hmm. There's this section where they have to like de-escalate and re-escalate, and that part drags, but the two separate chunks of the movie don't. Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah, and so
overall it's good. Yeah,
I say go watch it, especially because it's free if you already have Prime. Yeah. Like I would definitely recommend watching this movie, and I did not think that I would.
If your television has a speech setting, I would turn on the speech setting for sound. Yeah. We had it on normal, which is what we watch most things on, and the whatever the sound mixing is on this movie, the music is so loud the whole movie. So we had to like turn the music all the way down. Mm-hmm. But once we did that, it was pretty good after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I would recommend The Tomorrow War.
Yeah, if you watch it, please let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, if the question is should you watch it, yeah. If you have almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like I would have paid, maybe not to see this in IMAX, but I would have paid a $12 ticket to go see that in the theater and been happy with the experience.
Sure, so. I just think the movie should have been about 15 minutes shorter.
I guess, but I know there were a bunch of false endings, but I actually liked.
No, I would cut the beginning.
Oh, fair enough.
I would skip so much of the setup of this movie.
That's fair.
Because it doesn't play into how the film functions at all.
That's fair.
There's a lot of setup for what happens, and none of it's important.
That doesn't really pay off at the end. Yeah, I agree. You could definitely cut some setup.
In fact, actually, they set up something that we felt was weird for the middle. So come check that out in the spoiler chat. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't like this video, hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry, and we must feed her. As always, you can follow us over on Twitch. I'm over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
I'm over at twitch.tv/clarusdracarys.
And as always, y'all, my name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
Do something nerdy tonight, you dang nerds.
Bye.
Bye.